Hello, welcome to Sweet Home California. I am taking a break for a moment from reviewing the report that is still ongoing. It is still being put out there. My husband was away for the week, and so we did take some time to go for a walk. But now I'm back watching it. I'm watching it at about 1.5 speed, so I'm catching up. But I wanted to take a break because I know some of the people that I like to listen to are actually in the room right now. So I can't imagine they can take a break to give you any update. And if you don't have time to be watching it live, then you're like, well, what's going on? Reports are coming out that, Biden is thanking the Arizona GOP for helping him relive the greatest victory of his life. I know CNN and CBS are saying the draft report has said the the number of ballots that they claim went to Biden. When they hand counted them, it looked like within a couple hundred votes that Biden actually got them. So, it validates his win. Well, does it really? Because that little part of the report that was released was just talking about the paper ballots. So they had the paper ballots, and they paper ballots would be hand counted. Each batch would be counted by three different people. They would have to verify that yes, this is the number. If it was off by, um, uh, one or two, then it went through. But if it was off by any more than that, they would re-tally them just to make sure that everybody was on the same page. And so that actual hand count of the ballots turned out in the end to be only within a couple hundred. But that's not all there is, because they also took a look at the envelopes. You know, um, Dr. Shiva was the first one to present so far, and he looked at over 1.9 million mail in ballot envelopes. That's where the signature verification is. There's a place for the person to sign. Um, and he saw a lot of discrepancies in that report. Um, Taking a look at all of that. He didn't actually do signature verification. He was basically looking to see, was there a signature, or was it just a scribble, or was it completely blank? And the scribble is like just less than 1% of something being in there. And he showed examples of that. And so really any normal person would mark a scribble as not being a verified signature. So taking a look at just the scribble and the blank, he had more. I think it was around 2,500 of those ballots were scribble or blank, compared to what the county reported as being only, like, I think 564 that they said were not verified. So he had over 5 times the amount. But that's not even the blockbuster thing of what he had to share. What he shared that was really blockbuster was that there were 34,000-ish ballots that came from only 17,000 voters. So he had same name, same birth year, same address, same phone number, casting more than one vote. There are cases of 2 votes per individual person. There are also cases of 3 votes per individual person. There were even cases of 4 votes per individual person. And then there was all that question about, was one signed versus one was left blank. So, were these the same? Well, that was beyond his scope. To try and figure out, did these people actually cast multiple ballots, or did somebody else cast a ballot in their name? That's what a canvas would do. That's what Liz Harris was trying to do in doing a full-on ballot and find out exactly how did a person vote? Did they receive multiple ballots? What happened to any extra ballots? Did they ever receive a ballot in the first place? So just with Dr. Shiva's information, we have serious questions about at least 18,000 ballots and votes as to whether or not those are legitimate votes and should have been counted. We don't know who those votes should have gone for, because the ballots are supposed to be secret. So he didn't know that. All he had was the envelopes. So right there, we only have, I think, 10, 11,000 discrepancy or a difference between Trump and Biden. So right there alone, just with signature problems, and again, that isn't even counting signature verification. That's just whether or not you have duplicate ballots from the same person and the problem with a completely missing signature. So we're not even talking about whether or not the signature that was on there really matched what the voter's real signature was. And the next thing that came up was Cyber Ninja. So Cyber Ninja had a lot of information. There was over 100,000 man hours that was put into this. They talked about how they secured everything. They talked about how they, you know, again, they can't. They're the ones that verified that the number of ballots cast approximated within a couple hundred the number that was reported. But again, this is just talking about the ballots. This isn't talking about whether any of them are maybe fraudulent or counterfeit. He didn't, at this point, they haven't talked about that. But what I have heard that they've been talking about thus far has been like the logs, the log file. Um, there there was at least one batch that ran through twice. That was only 50 votes, so that wasn't really significant. He did talk about the EV32 versus the EV33. Initially, they had released, or it was leaked, that there was a 74,000 vote discrepancy, but he did clarify that most of that was due to in-person early votings as to why one number was different than the other when you would have thought that they would have been the same. But they did find that, so even though it wasn't 74,000, he did find a discrepancy of around 9,041 of more ballots returned, which is the EV33, than the number of ballots sent, which is EV32. There were 255,000 early votes in a log called a VM55, which is like the voter, the rolls of people who voted is the VM55, if I remember that correctly, that were not in the EV33, which is the number of ballots returned. So that was a discrepancy. And again, this is just at this point they're just talking about problems that they're finding. It doesn't mean that there aren't necessarily answers for them, just that these are identified issues. Another thing that he found, this is the Cyber Ninjas, was that there were 23,000 votes from voters who submitted a mail-in ballot that had moved before the cutoff. So they should not have legally been able to vote. And there were another 2.5 thousand that had it in the voter system that they had moved, not in the voter system. They used other options for finding that. So again, there could be reasons for this, but based on their investigations, it looks like 2.4 thousand people voted in person. That looks like they actually moved and should not have voted. There are up to 5,000 that voted in more than one county. And again, these are all just things that are red flags. And in order to really determine whether or not these things actually happen, that's where the voter canvass comes into. 2.8 thousand voters have the same unique ID as another voter. And that unique ID is something that's supposed to be unique. You know, I'm not supposed to have the same number as my husband. So when my ballot goes in or whatever, you know, it should be me and it shouldn't be able to be confused with anybody else. Well, they found in the rolls that 2.8 thousand voters shared the same ID with somebody else. Of course, that creates problems. Going into problems with cybersecurity. So, of course, you've got passwords, you've got accounts. Well, they found that there was rampant sharing of accounts. So I would, you know, let's say John tells Susie, "All right, hey, just log in. Here's the account, and here's the password." Well, so not only were they sharing accounts, but the password was the same in for every single account. So if I knew somebody else's account number, I knew what their password was too. And I got to say that would happen in California too, because the passcode to get into we didn't, in Kern County, we didn't use Dominion machines for normal voting, but we did have a Dominion machine for the blind that they could use this technology on the screen, and then it would print out a ballot. We didn't even use it because we didn't have anybody blind that came in to vote. But the point being is that the password that was used to get into it had to have been a common password because it was the date of the election. I think everybody had the same password. But it did require a little card. So you had to have the card and the password. So I guess maybe that was enough security. I don't know. I'm not cybersecurity, but I don't think that's probably sufficient. I have a feeling that those cards could probably be duplicated. I mean, if credit cards can be duplicated, why can't you duplicate anything else? But anyhow, back to Arizona. They found in one of the computers that there were 2 bootable hard drives. That is not allowed. Um, and that was not, Maricopa did an audit supposedly, and they did not catch that problem because that is a problem to have 2 hard drives that are bootable under different configurations. And the second hard drive contained non-Maricopa County data, including some information that was apparently from Dominion that talked about other states. They had, I think, Washington State, and I don't recall the other state off the top of my head right now. They found that 85,000 files were deleted, including scanned ballots, between 10/28, 2020 and November 5th, 2020. They found that 1 million election-related files were deleted between November 1st, 2020 and March 16th, 2021. They found over 59,000 files deleted from scanners. They had several different scanners. So there was a Hi-Pro 3 that they found 59,000 files deleted on March 3rd, 2021. They found 191,000 files deleted on a scanner number 4. But for some reason, there were no deletions from a scanner called Hi-Pro number 2. The oldest date on the logs was from February 5th, 2021. They had clear intentional overwriting. And because they had set, you can tell the computer, all right, I want to keep so many megabytes of data before you start overwriting it, so many megabytes of logs. And on certain dates, there was a script run that created more of this log data that then caused the older data to be overwritten. So the reason why the oldest date for any of the logs is February 5th, 2021, which of course is several months after the election. So they have no election log data. It was all overwritten, and it was done intentionally because it was a script that did a search for blank passwords. There were only 16 people that were using this particular computer, so that wouldn't be much data. But it was a script that was run multiple times to intentionally overwrite older data. And here's the good news. They have video. Again, they have problems with being able to match up a username and a password because everybody can share it. And so you have no idea, you don't have accountability of who did what. However, they have video. And they do know what employees were at the computers when those logs were overwritten. And the gallery erupted in applause. Now, they did say they weren't going to release that information in this public forum, but I guarantee you that information is going to be made known to the Attorney General. Yeah. So that's all I've got for right now. I just need to take a break from watching all of that, but I will go back to watching it at 1.5 speed and try and get caught up. I think I'm about 45 minutes behind what is live right now. So I'll get this out to you. For those of you that don't want to take the time to watch all of this, I don't blame you. My husband's in the other room taking a break. Been had a really hard week this week. So anyhow, God bless. Keep praying. God is in control. I do not know what's going to happen to this, but I can tell you the people who are telling me to eat crow, I think it might be a little too early for me to get out my fork and knife. Okay? God bless, and I will talk to you later. Please like, comment, let me know what your thoughts are, and subscribe and share this information because when I do searches for this right now, the only thing that the majority of what's coming up is that liberals gloating. And I'm not saying that we have the answers yet. We do still have more time. I don't know what's going to happen. But I do think it's premature for the Democrats to be celebrating a victory. All right. God bless. Talk to you later. Bye.